Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. On this week's episode, we're talking about 8 strategies for growing fast on Etsy. Let's get into it.
What the crap was happening there?
I don't know. The volume was not changing.
Well, but like it was doing like warping, like it was like dun 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 dun.
I didn't hear that. That's weird.
Yeah, your sync is all off, and with like my Wi-Fi, or I don't know what's going. Now you're blank. Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned it off. Did that help? No? Yes, maybe.
I don't know. I'm sorry, but we can. You want to try it again?
Sure.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about 8 strategies for growing fast on Etsy. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Print on Demand cast. It's another episode coming directly to you. New content this week. Before we go any further, whatever you're listening to this on, whatever platform, iTunes, Spotify, whatever that looks like to you, do us a favor, leave us a review, share the show, let people know that this information is out there. Do you know someone that is starting on Etsy or has started on Etsy and needs to know this information that's about to come out of our mouths? Send it to them. Leave a review. Let them know. And who is the we? As always, joining me from Make Your Mark Design there, Travis Ross. Travis, welcome to another week of the show. Happy Monday. It is Monday. All my days have been bleeding together, but here we are. How's your Monday going so far?
It's all right. It is a Monday, and you're just kind of, recovering from the weekend, but yet there's all the stuff, going on. And just another day trying to move forward in the print on demand game.
Yeah.
How about you?
Same. Well, not so much the print on demand game, but it is a Monday, and yes, recovering from the weekend. And time is no respecter of persons. Doesn't matter if you're ready or not. Monday comes each and every week, regardless of what recovery there is to be done. So,
that's right.
But yeah, that had a good weekend. Lots of pickleball played, actually.
Nice.
On the weekend, Saturday was myself, Zach, Jason, Luke, and Andrew Ehrenzeller, who I know was at Vine Life, or your church of the Lookout, rather, a couple weeks ago. He came and played for the first time, although I don't think it was his first time because he had a wicked serve. But all told, a great weekend, and excited to be back talking about a platform that seems to be of great interest to a lot of people just starting out the print on demand business or in the print on demand business in general. But before we get to that part of the show, we've got to take care of some interesting points, or rather a point of interest.
Well, howdy, partner. Welcome to the point of interest part of the POD cast. So grab your hat and hold on tight, because we got some learning to do.
Every time. So loud. Whoever mixed that should be fired. Okay, so this week's point of interest, we're going to be talking about free or close to free adjacent, free, next to free marketing ideas for your print-on-demand business, which marketing is super important, but also budget-friendly marketing. Super important.
Right. I mean, and some of these may or may not, apply to every person that's listening, because print on demand businesses are, there's a lot of differences in them, and so, but some of these will probably apply. And so let's just jump in. The first one, I don't think you can talk about free or low cost marketing unless you start with social media. That's obviously kind of the easiest one, probably the cheapest one. It just costs time. Of course, we're talking about like Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok, all of those, and then, fill in the blank, any other social media that's out there that perhaps you have some experience in, or, some type of a presence on. But yeah, I mean, obviously getting your products out there in front of people is kind of what marketing is. And social media makes it super, super easy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, social media was I guess you could say, lifeblood of What For Apparel, as far as promoting ourselves as a business and finding folks outside of just our local restaurants to partner with in business. And so I didn't have a whole heck of a lot of luck on Instagram. My wife found a lot of people on Instagram. I was more Twitter, or I guess now X, which is an interesting development. But I did a lot of through there and through TikTok, a lot of advertising, a lot of making connections. And I mean, social media kind of pairs really easily with our next one, which is influencer marketing. Because once you are on those platforms, you're going to find out very quickly who on those platforms is doing well, who in your niche, who in, in the products that you create, the niche that you're serving, who in that subculture is really popular on those social media channels, those platforms. And so reaching out to them to, kind of partner together, which I guess this and, another one of our points, collaboration or partnerships, goes really well, because you can, have them create discount codes for your store. You can pay them to promote your product and to drive traffic to your site. And so a lot of it is it's great because they already have a following built in to that platform that they've created. And so it's just your job to pitch them and to land the partnership, convincing them of your value, of what you have to offer, and making it appealing to them as well, to get some buys and some eyes on your particular product. So those two work really, really well together.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, obviously there's different ways to go about social media and influencer marketing and even partnerships. It really depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to do more kind of print brokering, and like kind of using your drop shippers or your, kind of vendor relationships to provide products for somebody, that's one thing. And the other thing is, like, you just want to sell your stuff, that's a whole nother thing too. So it really kind of, again, you're going to be listening to these and you just need to kind of try to figure out how it would work with the way you're doing your print on demand business. So the next one that has done really well for us is claiming your business on Google Maps. If you have a business name, and maybe it's, Travis's T-shirts or something like that. Well, and even if you're working out of your home, you can actually go into Google Maps and claim your address as, your business. And then when somebody, is searching for T-shirts in the area, they may give you a call. They may, send you an email. They may connect with you even through Google Maps. They can actually message you through the platform. And so we get calls all the time for different products because we are on Google Maps. And that's just the way it goes. So there we are right there. Make Your Mark design. We've got some pictures of some of our products. We've got some reviews. We asked some people to do reviews. And then as we've just continued to go, people have actually just organically given us reviews. And then, of course, we're going to talk about another one later with some customer follow-up strategies. And that's one of our points. And one piece of that would be asking for reviews, on Google. Obviously on Etsy, on Amazon, any of those things, but having some type of a follow-up strategy. When somebody has bought from you, what do you do next? And so that can pair well with, getting some reviews on Google. And we recently started, kind of soliciting those after a product was finished locally. And we've done a really poor job with it, but it's part of our strategy. It just doesn't always happen.
Sure. Yeah. So the next one would be, local chamber of commerce, Rotary Club, even like business roundtables. I know anything that lends itself to networking. There's weekly or monthly meetings at the Chamber of Commerce or Rotary Club or a business roundtable. And those are really advantageous. I know of one that was just recently started by a mutual friend of ours, and they started it in an attempt to, the idea is that you join these clubs or these businesses or these, Chamber of Commerces, and you present yourself as the expert in what you're doing. So if someone needs a t-shirt guy or someone needs, some promotional merch, well, there's a guy in the Chamber of Commerce that I just talked to last week, or there's a person in my business roundtable that I know. And so it's all about referring business back and forth and you doing the same to them. Like, hey, you need to buy a car, go down to the, Lexus dealer. My friend Mike is there, whatever, and purchase and talk to him about your next purchase. So it really is a scratch my back, or, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of economy in those relationships. And it just helps you facilitate connection. And it doesn't help if people see that your business, or sorry, it doesn't hurt if people see that your business is a part of the Chamber of Commerce or has some, it lends itself some credit to your business as well, knowing that, okay, these guys are legit. They're part of the Chamber of Commerce. They're part of the community. And so it also says a lot for those that are trying to shop locally as well.
Right. Yeah. People like to shop locally. They like to support local business, especially after COVID and all the 2020 stuff. And it really came to the forefront. People really like to do that. The next one on our list really dovetails nicely with that. It's just community relationships. There are events in your community. There are things happening. And the more you can be involved in those things, the more relationships you'll have and the more opportunity you'll have to serve people in your community with your print on demand knowledge and how you can, help them. And, just earlier today, I got an email from somebody in the chamber that is looking to do a product that I don't do, but I can source, and I can, I might not make as great a margins as I would if I did it in-house, but I still have the relationships with the vendors and the know-how and the knowledge to be able to provide a service for somebody in the chamber. And then take a little off the top, and that's probably a lot of our listeners are probably in that spot where they have the knowledge and they have the relationships with the vendor side. And it really is just being in the community, join the chamber. It might cost you a few $100s for the year, but if you actually attend, and I actually recently used one of the guys I met there to do my insurance, on our new car, because Allstate would not insure my new car because it's a Hyundai, and I guess there's some weird thing, and I won't get into it. But,
I know all about it.
I know you do. Cause
it's crazy.
Anyway, so I had to change insurances, and I knew a guy, and I checked him against other, companies, and it actually was a really good deal. And so that was like you say, a scratch. I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back. And if anybody in his sphere of influence ever needs anything in the printing world or the promotional products world, he knows where to come, and I guarantee he will. So, that's just being in the community, being, like you say, the print expert, the t-shirt guy or gal, having that knowledge and just putting yourself out there. The last one on our list, actually, and we have a couple more, but like if we scroll all the way down, it's good old fashioned business cards. I can't tell you how many business cards I've handed out at these chamber events, and it's really, it's kind of still important, I guess, and maybe we're moving away from that, with the digital world and everything, but business cards are cheap. And, I remember go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's a tactile reminder. It's a physical thing that I can't tell you the amount of times coming back from trade shows, you collect just copious amounts of business cards from everyone you talk to, and you give out a copious amount of business cards. And then even if I tuck it in a bag, and then, a week later I'm cleaning things out and I see that card and I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, I need to call this person. I know that the digital equivalent is, hey, scan this QR code.
Right.
And that's awesome, and save this contact info. But if I save that contact info one time and I forget to contact you, the odds of me randomly scrolling through my contact list, pretty slim. So it is still nice to have that physical reminder of like, oh, I need to call that person. Oh, I have their number. Okay, cool. Or whatever. I feel like it's just still really good to have to keep kind of front of mind in that way. So yeah, business cards are still a great way to facilitate that.
And
contact.
you can do something on the business card where it's like, 10% off your first order, or something like that to give them a little incentive. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah.
With that business card strategy. And then, I remember when I was doing the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference and I was at a different event, like another Amazon event that, so it was related, but it wasn't our event.
Yeah.
I would put business cards. I'd leave them in the bathrooms, because I knew people from Amazon were going to be around, and we had like save $25 on your registration or something like that. And I would just leave them around because they're so cheap, and who knows who's going to find them and who's going to pick them up. And so, so there's a couple of, ideas for you to be in the community, be connected, and get yourself out there just using a cheap, couple cent business card. And, it can turn into $1,000 order. You just never know.
Right. Yeah. And again, the good thing about these being low cost or free is that the return on investment on it, to your point, if you're utilizing it, if you're joining the Chamber of Commerce for a couple $100 a year, but you're actually leveraging those relationships, is huge. And to your point about, you outsourced some of the products that someone came to you for because you didn't produce them in-house. So to those listening, I would just follow up and say, don't be afraid to do that, to be the middleman. You don't even have to tell them that you're the middleman. You can just tell them, yeah, I can get that done. Right. And you can go and do that, because then they'll come back to you, and maybe the next one is something you do produce in-house and you can actually make a little bit more on it. Or, but it's just like that whole premise of you don't want to say no, especially when you're building the business, just you can facilitate that. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be the guy that goes and gets it sourced and goes from there. The next one we talked about a little bit already, customer follow-up strategy, email marketing, using, a MailChimp or an active campaign or whatever that looks like to keep, dripping content in front of those that signed up on your site, that purchased something, a new deal, or a new sale that's happening, a new product, or just informational stuff, educational stuff that helps, maybe not always asking for a sale, but just being helpful and resourceful, as well as presenting what you have to offer. And in those, you can also, ask for a review, to Travis's point, asking for people to leave a review on the Make Your Mark Design Google page. That does, when I was in Allstate, that was a huge thing. Get people to leave you a 5-star review, because that is how people will find you and your business. So it's massive.
Yeah. And for those of you who are selling on Etsy, Etsy actually allows you to email the customer. And so you can, part of this kind of customer follow-up strategy that I was talking about earlier, that could be everybody that buys from you gets, a thank you email. And in that email, you ask them to sign up for your email list, and you ask them to follow you on social media. And that's all free if you create that strategy. And then you also obviously ask them for a review. So something as simple as that you can put into place, you write it once and you send it, every time someone buys from you, can really build up your ability to remarket to these people for free, for very low cost. And so that customer follow-up strategy is really, really important. Doesn't matter what platform you're selling on. It's really important. If you can figure out a way to, make sure you're playing within the terms of service for whatever platform it is. But, if it's your site, of course you can do it. But I think Etsy allows it. Amazon doesn't really like it. they like to keep their customers, close to the vest. It's not your customer, it's their customer, even though if anything goes wrong, you have to fix it, but you get the idea.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next one as well is just content marketing. Blogging. Again, this goes to the point of establishing yourself as the expert in your community, in your sphere, in your niche. So blogging, writing articles that have to do with maybe the niche that you're involved in, or the print process that you're using, whatever it looks like. Having folks, again, influencers, come and maybe write a guest blog for you. Again, they get to write an article, you host it on your end, they get to just share it drives traffic to your site. Video blogs are huge. You can look on YouTube and see people blogging about their niche, blogging about their process or some tips or tricks, or being like RJ is a phenomenal example of this. He always has stuff that's beneficial for the viewer, and it's great information and great, really well done as well. So anything else on that content marketing point?
Yeah. I mean, like, as part of your customer follow-up strategy, you can also ask for user-generated content, like somebody wearing your t-shirt, somebody, with the coffee mug at, in the morning on their deck or whatever. And you can use that. I mean, this is likely going to work better if you have your own site, as opposed to, an Etsy or whatever. But if you do, these are things that, you can do. You can guest blog on other people's. This goes to that collabs and partnering with people, because all of a sudden now I have a link, an SEO link that is boosting my SEO, and it's pointing back to my site, and then vice versa. They have one on your site, and there's a lot of collabs that you can do if you do have your own site. But yeah, and then you get that user generated content, and you share that out on your socials. You can put it on your site. Here's what people, here's some reviews from some of our products. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with user generated content to give more social proof and to potentially drive traffic to your site in the first place, just through better SEO by being in all these other places and all of them linking back to your site. So a lot of things can be you can benefit a lot from content marketing if you have your own site. But I think that about does it.
Yeah. I think we touched on collaborations, we touched on business cards. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up the point of interest. Again, if you guys have questions, or you have some more tips, or you found something else that works, maybe that we haven't touched on, you can join the Facebook group and let us know. Just leave a post in there, and we'd love to hear from you as well. So with that being said, we're going to go straight in to this week's main event.
Main event, who's calling?
All right, as we mentioned at the top, we're going to be talking about 8 strategies for growing fast on Etsy. And again, everyone loves to hear about Etsy. It seems like a very popular platform, for good reason, though. Etsy's doing a lot of good stuff, and it's a great place to start and to grow your POD business. And I think number one on this list would just be identifying a trending product that's like based on data, right? You're going to want to, consider niches like gardening, growing plants, wedding, party decor, home decor. Can tell you from experience that women will buy the crap out of home decor on Etsy. So it is just a for sure thing. But when you're focusing on something that's trending, or a niche that's trending, it kind of ensures higher demand and better chances of succeeding as you're launching this store.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not hard to find something that's trending. And when we say trending, it does, that could be something that is trending up, or it's just something that's kind of always popular. People are going to get married all the time. People are going to have babies all the time. People are, and there's different even niches, like you said, like growing plants, or dogs or cats, or I mean, there's people love. So we did this is a quick story. We did a gig in Leadville this last Friday, and it was for their 100-mile bike ride. It's a big event they do up there, and it was a lot of fun. And AJ, our keyboard player, was talking about how she needed to get out of there really fast afterwards because she was headed to a birthday party for somebody's dog. And I'm not even kidding. That was what she had to get back for. This birthday, or this dog also is really old, is blind and deaf. And I'm thinking, well, you don't really have to get back too early because the dog isn't going to know if you're there, but my point is, obviously people spend a lot of money on their animals. So there's plenty of different market trends or profitable niches that you can find. You just have to choose one. But you probably should research it and just make sure that there's something that you can, make some money on. And, you could do that by using Google Trends. The website, it'll show you kind of where things are and how many Google searches are being, had for that particular product. You can go to the Etsy bestsellers page and just kind of browse and just see what are people buying on Etsy, and you'll see the various categories. And I would even recommend getting at a, like a Google Sheet or something and documenting this stuff and linking to it, so you can kind of, filter it and sort it and go, okay, well, here are all these, how many of them are talking about pets or, gardening or whatever, or fishing, or, and when you get, that granular, you really will, you can find the winners and the losers. And then of course, like just social media groups, Facebook groups, dedicated, even going to specific like print on demand, Facebook groups, you can find, you can maybe find a niche that you weren't thinking about, or you can ask questions about, hey, do you think this niche is good? And does anybody have experience selling to fishermen or, or gardeners, and just see kind of what, see what's out there and see how much help you can get from, other entrepreneurs that are doing print on demand.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can also, use, you can analyze the competition within your chosen niches. And we've talked about this before with like eRank. That kind of gave you insight into your competitors' keywords, rankings. You can see what actually is being searched, what is popular. We tell the story all the time about Madeline selling a design with a snail, and instead of a shell, it was a stack of pancakes or something crazy like that. That was all data-based, that or database decisions that she made to sell a design like that based on two things that were being searched for, two things that were popular, and combining them into this kind of, I guess, super niche, for lack of a better term. I still haven't met that niche that's super stoked about breakfast food snails, but I mean, they're probably out there. But yeah, there's lots of different tools you can use for that. But again, when you're using data to kind of base your decisions, it just ensures a higher level of success and and demand.
So that's the first one. Just make sure you figured out a profitable niche. So once you've targeted a profitable niche, the next thing you want to do, and this may actually be before you figure out your niche, you want to target profitable customers. So go where the money is, so do you want to sell to, soccer moms? Okay, cool. And, if you got, products that they'll like, but what if you sold to high-end father of the bride or mother of the bride, types that are spending money because their daughter is getting married? And what if you targeted that niche, and it goes with number one, when you decide who your customer is, you can understand what do they want, what are the products that they want, targeting, affluent people is really smart, and maybe there's a wall art niche that, you've got some great photography or something, that you want to put out there into the world. Well, I mean, you're probably targeting a higher, a buyer with more money if that's the case. And so how do you like actually target that person? How do you create your listings in such a way that that type of a person would be interested in your product, not just your pictures, but like your description, and you're writing to a specific demographic. So that's something to definitely consider, not only when you're deciding on your niche, but when you're actually finally creating your listings. How will that person respond to how you're describing this thing, and the title, and all of that stuff?
Yeah, 100%. You can also use, to your point, pricing strategies for reaching non-price sensitive customers. Rather than competing solely on price with other people on the platform or within your market, you can do stuff like value-based pricing. You set the value or the price based on the perceived value of your products rather than just the cost alone. You can do tiered products. You can offer the multiple versions of that product at different price points. So like, a standard edition, a deluxe edition, a touring edition, whatever. They do it with cars all the time. Just whatever that looks like. And you can cater to both budget conscious shoppers as well, those that are wanting all the bells and whistles and having it come just completely loaded. Or you can bundle. I remember at the tail end of our Amazon wholesale journey before we transitioned into the shirt POD business model, was finding different things to bundle from a wholesaler. So we had an account with Jelly Belly. But what if we bundled this with this and this, and it's that bundle doesn't exist? And so what if we offer people a bundle that's unique and it's still our account? So bundling, offering complementary items at a discount is also attractive to those that are on your page that are looking to purchase.
Yeah, we did. Me and another seller purchased a whole bunch of coffee mugs one Christmas, and we were able to get inexpensive bags of Starbucks coffee at a local grocery store, and we like got a really great deal and like paid half of what they normally sell for. And we created all of these Christmas bundles because it was like the Christmas version of the Starbucks coffee, along with a really cool Christmassy mug, and we bundled all of that together, and we were targeting people who were buying gifts for Christmas, and it went really well. And we sent them all into fulfillment by Amazon, and they, we basically had to package them all up, and then we put them on a pallet and we sent them away. And those did really well. So yeah, to your point, bundling can be, even in print on demand, you can figure out ways to do this and target a specific, specific customer.
Right. The next thing you can do, number 3, is implement loss leader listing strategy. So this is a way to get your store trending really well, get lots of eyes, get lots of purchases, get lots solicit those reviews. But basically the idea is with a percentage of your listings being loss leader items, which basically means they're just low priced offerings designed to get people to your store, to drive up the order count, and to elevate the visibility of your listings. Now, you do it with not the entirety of your selection and the entirety of your offerings, just with a certain percentage, because, think about, a Black Friday sale. Those are all loss leader items that are getting people in the door to purchase. But there's other things in the store that aren't on sale that people are going to be looking at solely because they came into the store to buy that LED TV that's, $300 or whatever. So you have a lot of opportunity to still get eyes on your product and sell other items by going with the loss leader kind of strategy.
Yeah, it also kind of dovetails with what we were talking about earlier with a customer follow-up strategy, because even if you sell something at a loss or it just, maybe break even or whatever, you might be able to capture that person's email list, and the lifetime value of that customer becomes higher. And so the next time they come, maybe they buy something else, because you're able to remarket to them. So this loss leader strategy, I would highly recommend you have some type of a follow-up in order to capitalize on the lifetime value of a customer. So they don't just come one time, buy that one thing, and then they're never there again. You have an opportunity to kind of capture that lead or capture that customer and get them into your funnel to where you can continually remarket for them. So when you're selecting an item for a loss leader strategy, you want to aim for a high demand product. You want to make sure that that item is high demand. And then, your pricing, where you're going to price it is probably at about a break even. You might even decide, hey, I can even go $1 lower or whatever, because you want to be in a high demand area, but have the lowest price, just to get that sale and get them into your funnel so you can continually remarket for them. And then also, if you have, like your own store or whatever, you can leverage upselling opportunities. So you have this loss leader, that maybe you're breaking even on, but during the checkout, you present this other thing that you're actually making a profit on. And now you've turned that loss leader into another sale because you upsold them on something that was similar. So that can be a great strategy for using this this whole loss leader strategy.
Yep.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah. And then again, you can balance those loss leaders with regularly priced products.
Exactly.
Just make sure you have a diversity of product offerings. You can create an assortment of like high and low margin items across all the different categories in your niche, so that there's something for everybody. And again, you don't have to make it everything a loss leader. You can have some regularly priced stuff in there. You can promote upselling and cross-sellings again, to our point of kind of like almost that bundling kind of thing, where you can kind of upsells, maybe have a loss leader, but then the deluxe item is a little bit more expensive, but they might go for that kind of addition or more value. You can cross sell. And then you can always analyze your sales data regularly. Just because it's always important to be basing this off of actual data and not your personal preference. Because selling your personal preference can end up in you not making any money if you're only selling to yourself. So it's just based on data. That's kind of the linchpin to this whole thing, is always be making decisions based on things that are proven to be effective.
Right. And I mean, this goes nicely with number 4, rapidly test your products and then scale up your offerings. So, to your point of using the data, you want to see which one of those loss leaders is actually converting other product sales. Which of those loss leaders are you actually selling, and how many times are you getting an email? How many, those types of things. But the more you do that, the more you use that data to rapidly test your products, the better you're going to be. So in this kind of ways to grow fast, you're going to want to really run fast at the beginning. If you can, get as many listings as you possibly can in your first 30 days of launching your new Etsy store. If you can get up to, 150, 200, 300 listings in 30 days, I know that sounds like a lot, but if you batch it, if you batch your work, it's possible. And if you can do something like that, you are Etsy's new favorite. I'll just say that because they like new products. They like putting them out there. And then you also have that new listing bump right at the beginning. Take that data again and to scale your product offerings based on the niches or the types of products that are actually selling. Like if you have t-shirts and coffee mugs and nobody's buying your coffee mugs, well, why would you continue to make coffee mugs? Add more t-shirts. Obviously that's what they want. But, in this strategy, you really want to try to go fast right at the beginning. And then you're just focusing on that sales data, and then analyzing it to continue to, scale up or create new products in those niches and or product types that are performing really well. And simultaneously, just don't renew the ones that are underperforming. And that's fine, because you're not going to have You know, if you create 200 listings in the first 30 days, you're not going to have 200 winners. That's just not how it works, you know, and that's fine.
Yeah. But again, to the whole, it's a volume game. Like most things in business is you're not going to have 200 winners, but you might have 20, 10%, maybe 5% of them are winners. Which is why you want to go fast. And again, just to Travis's point, if they're not wanting mugs, don't add more mugs. It's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Just go where the income is flowing. So again, okay, number 5 would be create multiple variations for successful products. Variations are great. I think there is definitely a happy medium here. When it comes to variations, you don't want to inundate them with a lot of different choices and variations, but it is good to have different colors or color combinations of, you know, black shirt, white font, or red shirt, white font, or maybe, you know, green shirt, black font, or whatever. It is good to have those things that can kind of vary it up. It can be based on popular trends. It could be based on seasonal themes. You could have Christmas colored stuff, you know, depending on what you're releasing or what's going on.
Right.
Sizes, obviously, you're going to want to allow them to choose their size, especially if it's a shirt or a piece of clothing. You're certainly going to want size options on there. But even in mugs, you know, I think I found out, you know, you have the 11-ounce mugs, and then you have like the 15, 16-ounce mugs that we would sell. And those bigger mugs, man, customers love those. Just, I mean, it's more coffee, it's more liquid, it's more volume that they can consume and partake in. But just that size difference, even in like the wooden signs that we would create, you know, for wall decor, we started with just having, you know, the little 6x6 or 12x12 signs, but then eventually expanding into larger, people having the options for larger sizes in their home decor and their drinkware is super. They like that, to have the option. But again, don't give them 45 size variations.
Right.
Give them 4, maybe 4. It'd be fine.
Yeah. And I think the other kind of angle on this is not just necessarily having more variations on one listing, but if you find that one product, you know, that one design that's selling really well, we'll make a different design and do a new listing that's really similar, you know, and give people more, because you've seen that niche, that product type has sold. And so recreate that in more than one, you know, I mean, you could, I know people that are on Etsy, they'll sell something and, you know, and they'll see, okay, this is really doing well. And then they will basically offer that same exact product, same design, same t-shirt, same everything, but they'll title it differently because they're targeting a different buyer. It's, you know, it's a shirt for moms, but they're noticing that, you know, a lot of it's kind of maybe towards the education system. So they do another listing for teachers, and then they do another one for school administrators. And it's very simple to market to these other, you know, other buyers, other, you know, groups of buyers with the same product. They may have never found it had you just left it as one, you know, hey, this is a mom t-shirt. You know, that school administrator, that principal may never find it, but if it has kind of that bent to it, you can do it in all of these different ways and present your, you know, in all these different variations with different actual listings.
Yep. And in ways that you can develop appealing product variations, again, analyze customer feedback, use reviews and messages from buyers as inspiration. You need to stay updated on trends. I think that's just in general across the board, especially when it comes to print on demand. You know, for example, you know, the infamous Will Smith Oscar slap. Immediately after that happened, there were people just producing merch based off of that moment. I mean, instantly. So to have that, the ability to capitalize on those kinds of things, but you're going to want to just keep an eye on those popular platforms like Pinterest or industry events or things that are trending within your niche that you feel would be important to pay attention to. Collaborating with other artists is also cool. Going back to collaborations and partnerships or influencer marketing. If you have you know, a designer that's doing really well in your niche and you want them to design a t-shirt for your store, that's a cool variation. It's kind of also a scarcity thing too, like a limited run type, variation is also good. And they can A/B test, again, see which ones are performing better than the other, which gives you more data to go off of when you're looking at these variations.
Yes, sir. The next one, if you're going to be, growing fast on Etsy, number 6, really strive to aim for a large inventory. And again, if you're trying to grow really fast, get there by, give yourself a tangible goal that actually has a due date. So for this particular point, we'll say by month 3, make sure you have a large inventory. And what that means is, obviously large inventory means different things to different people, but if you've already created 100 to 200, listings in your first month, well, by month 3, let's go for 400, 500, 600. Right. And again, I know it sounds like a lot, but if you're doing this kind of the variation approach where you target different buyers with your titles and your tags and all of that stuff, it's not outside the realm of possibility, to actually, and maybe you're also putting your designs on coffee mugs as well. And, and again, targeting different niches with the coffee mugs. So it's the same design, maybe on 6 or 7 different listings. That's a possibility. So you need to create a schedule for doing this, because you've got a date. And so you have to just back up from that date. And how many do I have to do every day in order to do this? And then, you need to kind of batch your, the way you're processing things. So tackle similar items together, maybe have some templates that you start with, and you just, you batch out your work you do all of your mock-ups for 10 different products. And then at one time you list them all, as opposed to doing listing, mock-up, description, and then starting all over again. That's not as efficient. And then hire help, if you need, if you're struggling with, like you just have a busy life or whatever, you can listen to some of our virtual assistant podcasts in the past, and you can get some incredible people working for you for really low cost. And they don't have to be full-time, but they can help you with some of the copywriting and some of the mock-up creation and things like that. And you go to Upwork or onlinejobs.ph, or, there's a lot of different places that you can find these people. So that's kind of how you would, get to that 400, 500, 600 listings in 3 months. It may seem impossible, but again, if you organize your time right, you have a schedule and you really figure it out and reuse some of these variations, it's very doable, and it'll serve you really well.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a technical difficulty on my end. The camera that I'm using died. So that's why I'm frozen on the screen and no one can see me doing anything other than just staring blankly at my screen. So I'm going to switch that out real quick with another webcam that I have. But Travis, let's go to number 7 while I do that. Accept low margins during this initial grow quickly phase, which again, a little bit of that loss leader mentality, but kind of dive into more specifics.
Yeah. We really kind of beat that dead horse earlier with that whole loss leader thing. But yeah, it's you're in this for the long-term gain. And so you can sacrifice a little bit, or hopefully you can, at the beginning in order to get kind of to your ultimate goal, which is to have a sustainable business that is selling, constantly on Etsy and potentially expanding to other channels. And so if you can, kind of run this fast race at the beginning, and also like combine that with some loss leader, mentalities. So your pricing is low, but you have so many offerings. You can A, gain a lot of data. You can B, gain a lot of, reviews for those products, and it can really be beneficial to your business in the long term. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. We've talked about it already with the loss leader stuff. even your business cards, giving 10% off or whatever. I don't know if you're going to put a link to your Etsy store or not, but you get the idea. Basically, just re-listen to the whole lost leader thing.
yeah. Just reiteration of that particular thing there. So yeah. So here, number 8, as we kind of wind down here, say yes to customer requests and create new listings. Again,
this is huge.
It's huge. Yeah, it's going to staying, malleable, staying flexible, not being married to one thing or another, but allowing feedback to come from the people that you're selling to, allowing customers to request items or leave feedback for you. It will certainly create a really strong sense of loyalty and bonding between you and that customer, and they'll spread the word because you actually listened to them, took into consideration what they're asking for, and then produced an item that you can also then turn those things into regular offerings that you can have. You could even credit that customer for the idea or shout it or name it after them. I don't know, something to, also pay tribute to the fact that they are helping in the business, which again just goes huge. When people feel like they have ownership in your story and your brand above and beyond just owning what you produce, but when they feel like they've contributed and you see them and are rewarding them for their loyalty in that way, it takes customer engagement to like a whole new level.
Yeah. And it really, kind of dovetails so nicely with this whole idea that you want to get a lot of products out there. I get people all the time on Etsy reaching out and saying, hey, can you make this say this, it's, can you add this word to it or this name to it or whatever? And when it's more of a, can you change the design to have this text instead? If I'm able to do that, that's another listing just like that. It doesn't take long to create that listing because the market has spoken in that particular case. They want that for a different type of customer. And so you can use that as part of your strategy to grow your shop and grow your listings, just taking those customer or those custom orders and just using them as regular, just adding them to your store as new listings. Because if one person actually asked you, there's a good, and it's not like, hey, will you put my name on this? No, you don't want to, have Jane and Sally and, but if they wanted, specific something for a different niche, or they wanted to tweak it a little bit, there's probably other people that would buy that too, that just wouldn't ever reach out. But if they saw it in your store, they might actually buy it. So it's great to take that customer feedback and turn those custom orders into regular listings.
Yep. 100%. And then we'll have a little bonus one, a bonus. Everyone loves a bonus. Yes. Bonus one, utilize Facebook groups for promotion and exposure. So for example, printondemancast.com/Facebook is where you can go to join our Facebook group as we try to increase our exposure in a manner of speaking.
That's terrible.
Anyway, all right. So yeah, this is a really good way as well because you can join Facebook groups that are specific to your niche, maybe that you're selling in. Be sure to obviously follow the rules, and some Facebook groups don't like this, but you'll find plenty out there that will allow you to join and also promote your product, but not even necessarily even groups that are specific to your niche, but just Etsy seller groups in general, a handmade business owner group. This is kind of like the virtual chamber of commerce, right? You're joining and you're making community and you're making connections that can benefit you in the long run. I can remember we had a relationship with I forget their name now, but Rustic Route, I think was their name. And we were doing a lot of their mugs, and they did a lot of handmade goods themselves, and ended up leveraging that relationship to where they helped us fulfill some products that we wanted to offer that we didn't make. And so they helped us with that, which was a connection that was made through business. We found each other through, a group, and it ended up working really, really well for both of us. So again, don't necessarily limit the group activity that you're doing to the niche that you're trying to sell, but you can also make some good connections and relationships in groups that have to do with the platform that you're on, or the Etsy groups, to the earlier point.
Yeah. And if you're going to go for a niche specific group, you obviously don't want to spam. Nobody wants, no one likes a self promoter, so you need to engage genuinely. And so here's just a couple tips. First of all, of course, add value, answer people's questions, and try to, or pose questions that are valuable, that can create conversations. Share success stories, or share stories in general about that niche, about, your experience in that niche. And, even not just your successes, but also your challenges and your challenges and those types of your wins and your losses. Cause people want you to be real. And then, when you actually are going to, share a product or something like that, it has to be organic. It has to be relevant. I don't know that I would necessarily just post, be the original poster on a post that's just, here's my link to my thing that I thought you would all like. It needs to be organic. It's probably down in the thread somewhere, where people were talking about a certain thing, and you had the perfect product that was very, very relevant to that discussion. You want to just be organic about it. And then if you do want to post, once you've established yourself as a valuable member of the group, maybe you could do an offer, and say, hey guys, love this community. I've really enjoyed getting to know you all. I have an Etsy shop. I created a coupon just for this group, and I'd love for you guys to check it out. If you want to, if you feel like that's something that you're into, and then you give them a discount code, so all of those things, you can't just come in and just start spamming your links everywhere. You'll either get booted or you'll get ignored, or both.
Yeah, for sure. No one. Yeah, that's a quick way to lose credibility really quickly. So to Travis's point, I would say the first move would be to focus more on just getting in the comments, getting in the and that goes for also even when you're wanting to work with a partner, to work with someone. If you start to just organically get in their comment sections, encourage them, answer questions that are coming in on their thread for them, giving your advice, just getting a presence on their page or in the group, without necessarily going straight for the wham bam, thank you ma'am type of one and done approach. It just establishes a lot more credibility and relational equity, that when you do eventually make the pitch or post the offering or whatever, there's more equity to draw from, rather than going into a deficit where you're going to have to prove who you are very quickly, from a standpoint of them being skeptical, as opposed to wanting to then receive from you. So just be careful. The default might be sell, but just be careful how you approach that. So all right, Travis, anything else on this main event before we wrap it up?
I think that's pretty good. I mean, I was going to tell you another little story. I actually, unfortunately this morning I learned that my microwave is not waterproof. It was a shocking discovery.
I'm glad you lived to tell the joke, because that sounds risky. Guys, that's the lengths that Travis goes to for dad jokes. He puts his life on the line to see if it works or not. So glad that he survived that as well. I also think that he's still a little frozen. So I'm going to go straight into the dialogue, or the stream of consciousness that I usually go into at the end of each episode. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening once again to another episode of the Print on Demand cast. We talked about using Facebook groups to grow exposure, and that's what we're doing. PrintOnDemandCast.com/Facebook. And you can go there, join the conversation, join the community, answer the Facebook questions, or you shall not be admitted. But just be sure to do that. And then if you don't necessarily like social media, you can just email us, info@printondemancast.com. You can do that as well. We're on Instagram, printondemancast.com/Instagram and /YouTube is where you can go to do that as well. So if you want to get in touch with us, please use one of those platforms, use one of those ways to reach out, and we would love to hear from you. You can also subscribe to the newsletter. A lot of what we talked about today is newsletter material that went out. And so if you want a head start on some of this, if you want to kind of, peek behind the curtain or learn some stuff that we don't necessarily talk about on the podcast, or when we do talk about it, you can say, listen, I already have read this and you guys are just confirming my thoughts or whatever. It's a lot of fun. Just subscribe and you get an extra dad joke, which is, I think, what everyone cares about the most. And as I said at the top of the show, if you are listening to this on iTunes, please leave us a review and a rating. We would love to hear from you and get your feedback. And it just helps the algorithm in getting this information out to those who know it. You can share the show as well, Facebook, X. Hey, by the way, there were, I knew a lot of Twitter employees, and I mean, now I guess they're just X employees, if you know what I mean. There you go. Double dad joke for you. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening this week. For Travis, who is no longer in the studio because he's having Wi-Fi problems, and for Josiah, we'll see you next week right here on the Print on Demand cast. And I guess it's my job to say, see ya.
Hey babe, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.